So the Drug Wars DLC is only a few days away, and it's always fun to sort of, right before these DLCs release, go out in the world of GTA and figure out where the properties, the new properties, will end up being. And that's what we're going to do in today's video. We're going to be going over where places like the Acid Labs could be, also where the Juggalo Safe House might be, so that hopefully when the update does release, we all might have a better idea of exactly where to go, you know, where to look for everything. And one thing that Rockstar helped us out here in their newswire, if we go ahead and switch to that real quick, they simply said head straight to Blaine County. So they're almost confirming that the majority of this DLC is going to be up north. So we don't have to really look down in the city. And this is honestly a good thing because there's not that much to do up in Blaine County. So of course, this being added is going to be really fun. But one of the other things they mentioned in this little newswire post towards the end here, they do specifically mention that we will be able to cook up potent hallucinogenics in elaborate labs or out of your own massive rolling chemistry set. So two things. So we have elaborate labs, so actual properties, as well as our own chemistry set, which we do already know is going to be the new Brickade 6x6. And that's actually what you see in a couple of these screenshots. This is one, you can see the Brickade 6x6 here, as well as the new NPCs. But one of the locations we're going to start out looking at is the one that's actually shown twice in these screenshots, the Liquor Ace location. I don't know if, I mean, it's like a gas station type place, but it's also where a couple other things happen. Trevor in single player, I think you end up cooking drugs in there. It's not acid, but it's similar. But it's also, of course, in this screenshot. So I'm thinking that this location is going to be one of the hot spots for this DLC. Obviously, in this one, we can also see a couple of NPCs just hanging out here. Here's a quote from the GTA Wiki in case anyone forgot, but in single player, Trevor ends up using the upstairs part of this location to sort of manufacture meth. Now, of course, GTA Online nowadays is, you know, 7 years, 8 years past that. So if we do hop back into the game here, you know, things are definitely going to be a little different. But I do think this location might end up being maybe not the actual acid lab, but this could be the sort of Juggalo headquarters. Of course, if we just slightly go up and go into the upstairs, there is still all of the drug making equipment. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I don't know the specifics of making meth versus making acid, but I'm sure Rockstar, if they wanted to, they could, you know, maybe change some of the stuff. We probably as a character won't be doing too much stuff in this particular location. What I think will end up happening is this, like they showed in that screenshot, there'll just be a bunch of the like Juggalo NPCs that hang out around this area. They also did show the like the RV as well as the Brickade 6x6 sort of just parked around here. But one of the reasons I don't think this is going to be any sort of property for us is because if we fly up, it's not big enough for the Brickade 6x6. And one of the things we do know in this DLC, there's going to be 50 new garage slots. We don't think they're going to be just like, it's not going to be one garage with 50 slots, but more than likely there's going to be a giant new garage. And then we also do know the Brickade custom 6x6. That's not going to fit into this little garage door here. So one of the more interesting parts when we do go ahead and look around Blaine County for new properties, you have to sort of find a location that fits the size of that Brickade 6x6. Now, one of the cool things which maybe could happen here, maybe not necessarily with the Liquor Ace building, but this one over here on the side, this is an interesting little building. If Rockstar wanted to sort of keep like a lower end acid lab potentially, I'm sure they could definitely do something with this building. Of course, there's the two garage doors in the back there. I don't think this building's used for anything. There's like a front that they could fix up, But the only reason I'm saying that is because it is right next door to more than likely the Juggalo HQ here in the Liquor Ace gas station. Now, as we look over Sandy Shores, now this isn't all of Blaine County, but one of the things that might end up changing are some of these buildings. There's not too many big buildings in Blaine County, in all honesty. A lot of them are very, very small. If I go all the way over here, of course, the only other businesses we have up here are like the coke, meth, weed, and all that. But most of them are in little buildings like this. And it's also not a place that you have like an additional garage. So they can afford to be in these smaller buildings. But again, if we are going to be having a mobile drug lab, there needs to be a home for that. So as we go over some of these buildings, we definitely have to find one that is big enough. And honestly, I've sort of looked all around Blaine County. The only building that kind of fits is all the way up here in Grapeseed. It's not off of like a main road. It's literally up by the farmland here. But it's this sort of barn or whatever warehouse right here. And it actually does have the word autos right there. This looks big enough to house the Brigade Custom 6x6 as well as like, you know, additional vehicles and even potentially the Acid Lab itself. This one isn't, it's off of this little dirt road here, and it's a little unfortunate because you'd have to drive, you know, through this little fence. But yeah, as far as like buildings that haven't been used yet, this is one of the few in Blaine County that would sort of fit the criteria we're putting on it. Which is why I'm thinking maybe Rockstar end up doing some changes to some of these buildings. They did mention labs, plural, so more than likely that there's going to be, you know, 4 or 5-ish or so labs. And if we just take a look at the map, if it's all up in Blaine County, you know, more than likely there'll be one somewhere in Sandy Shores. There'll probably be one up in Paleto Bay because they like putting stuff up there. Again, hopefully I think there might be one in Grapeseed. That's it. Like, if they are just sticking to Blaine County, there's not a whole lot of places. So there definitely could be some new additions. One of the things looking over, if we go sort of south, Rockstar mentioned elite hippies as like one of the bad guys, like the group coming or like antagonizing, I guess, the Juggalos maybe, and even our characters. And we also have this trailer here in the promotional, like the art. So more than likely this little trailer park is going to be involved in a couple of the missions, whether we go there or they come to us. But yeah, I'm sure this place, which is right next to the prison over there to the left, yeah, I'm sure this place will be involved in this DLC, which is kind of cool. You get to visit some not necessarily new places, but places we haven't necessarily been before. But I mean, again, just sort of going over some of the locations in Sandy Shores, there's not a whole lot. I'm sure if there are some that I'm missing, let us know in the comments. But we have a couple of buildings along Route 68 here, but a lot of these are used. Like, of course, that's not the ammunition. That's the car shop. This, we have Fleeka as well as, I believe, the clothing shop. So we can't do anything there. That's the hotel. I mean, yeah, they have a bunch of these little gas stations that aren't used, but those don't look big enough to house vehicles unless they sort of just pull a bunker and here's a door and everything's underground. They very well could do that, but I don't know. I think it'd be cooler if we actually had buildings up top. I mean, this is just like a little strip mall. Doesn't look like anything would really happen there. And then, yeah, we have more of these little gas stations, but they probably wouldn't do anything. The only other building that I think it's over here. And this very well could be used for other things. I'm gonna be honest, there's so many properties and missions that take place in the game. But yeah, this is one of the only other bigger buildings that would necessarily house a big truck like the Brigade. This one has, you can see, entrance, so it's big enough. It kind of would work similar to the, I think there's a meth lab over here, this red barn. This is used, I think it's meth. But yeah, they converted this to a meth lab. So, I mean, if they did that, you know, what's to stop them from doing it again, but this time for the Acid Lab. Heading back up here to Sandy Shores, one thing that'll probably also change, so you can see again, right now in single player, they just have random like redneck type people, NPCs that spawn near this liquor store. The only places you actually will find like the Juggalo gang people, there's one or a couple of them that spawn near the boathouse here, and here's a little clip of them. They just sort of sit outside. So if the Juggalos are going to be a part of this DLC, you're probably going to be seeing more of these type of NPCs spawning around Sandy Shores. But yeah, the boathouse is one, and then the other spot, which is pretty random, but it's just like an abandoned house, and they only spawn at night. There's a couple of them here, but it's on the shores of the Alamo Sea, kind of just next to all the other Sandy Shore stuff. But yeah, they're just chilling out here, hanging out in this abandoned house. Now, the one good thing about Sandy Shores and Blaine County as just a giant area, there's a lot of room to add things. I mean, if they did want to add different buildings or whatever, I mean, look, there's so much open space. So they could really just pick anywhere and plop down a couple of new buildings and then call it a day. Now, one of the interesting points that Fun MW2 ended up bringing up was this. He says, I think the Liquor Ace is going to actually play a role as the introductory location where we start the first dose missions, and then maybe after that is when you set up like the regular acid lab as well as the one, you know, in the Brigade 6x6. And then after you do that, then of course you can expand to new locations, which is sort of why I think this is going to be like the Juggalos HQ upstairs. Like, I'm sure we'll definitely visit this place a lot in the missions, and if he's saying we're going to sort of start here, it makes sense, but it definitely doesn't make sense as a place that we sort of end at. So that's why it'll be interesting to see what Rockstar do as far as like where these properties actually are. Maybe, you know, they will end up putting one down in the city just for people to have businesses down here. But as far as locations that would fit the Acid Lab as well as the giant 6x6, there's not a whole lot of them. Even up here in Paleto Bay, I mean, there's a couple of different buildings that would fit, but yeah, there's not a whole lot. So it's for sure going to be interesting to see what Rockstar do. But yeah, anyway, that's going to go ahead and do it for the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please drop the video a like if you did enjoy. Subscribe for more GTA content. And as always, I'll see you all in the next one.